Hello everyone, my name's Vic. I'm from the Friendly Food Club Kitchen and I'm with you today so that we can make rainbow rostis, vegetable rainbow rostis. What we've got here is various grated vegetables. We've got some grated parsnip, grated beetroot, grated sweet potato, and then with the onion and pepper that you can see here, they've just been chopped very, very finely. It's almost impossible to grate a red pepper and it's probably very painful to grate an onion. So we've just chopped them up as small as we possibly can. We've also got some flour, a few herbs and spices, seasoning and some vegetable oil. The one thing left to do is the potato. Now I wouldn't normally peel a potato because a lot of the goodness is in the skin, but this one is looking a bit ropey, a little bit past its best, so I did actually peel it. Now you can see how kind of sticky almost that is, and that's the starch in the potato. So we want to get rid of the water, the excess water that's in the potato. It's really important or they just won't work at all. And then that leaves the starchiness to help them stick together. To do that, you use a clean, and when I say clean, I mean not just looking clean, but absolutely, you know, not being used, been through the wash. Being through the wash is fine, but not that it's been used at all since it's been washed. You want to put your potato in the middle of the tea towel. I'm just adding this into here, and then lift up the corners and then over a sink, or hopefully you can see this all right. Oh look, I'm not even putting any pressure on yet, not really, just twisting it around. I think that's pretty good. So back into the bowl. You've got your amounts, rough amounts in your recipe, so you can follow that. But you know, the lovely thing with most cooking, but especially with things like this, is you can just, you know, make it up as you go along in terms of how much of what to put in. So long as you get the potato in there and the onion, then the other things don't matter too much. And you can vary the flavourings as well. But what we'll do is, I'm just breaking those up, adding some of the onion in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of this aside. I think I'll make three or four, just so I can show you a few examples. I think I'll put some red pepper. Now it's important to not put too much of the chunkier bits in because that will make them fall apart. So I think red pepper and a bit of parsnip. Okay, bit of pepper, salt, and let's go for some chili flakes in this one. Right, I'm not going to go mad. Not everyone likes too much chili. So I'm going to mix that all together, and I'm actually going to put a little bit of flour in. You don't always need to, it kind of depends on how starchy it is. And one of the things about this is not to kind of overwork it or play around with it too much. Put it into your hands, so I've got a handful there, and really press them together. You don't want to make them too thick because they won't cook through. You might have put too much pepper in, and those chunky bits are stopping it holding together, but there's only a tiny bit left in there, so let's try with this one. Maybe, again, you know, I'm always saying about experimenting and trial and error. Maybe this one will work better, maybe I'll need to put a little extra flour in. I'm going to put sweet potato in here. Always salt and pepper with these. I think they really need it. And these are lovely with a nice tomatoey sauce or something like that. And I'm going to add some oregano to this one. Okay. So stir that up. So you might have seen that I've tried a little bit more in that. Hopefully it will bind, as it's called, stick together a bit better. If you put too much flour in, they will stick together, but they can be a bit glue-like, a bit sort of claggy. And actually all these kind of bits hanging off the side, I mean, you can be much neater than me, but it helps to get like little crispy, crunchy bits. So I'm going to go for one more, and the last one we're going to do is lovely beetroot. Always, whenever you're adding beetroot to some things but not others, you know, do this last, otherwise it will impact everything else that you make. Beetroot's got a strong taste. I'm going to add some rosemary. Now, rosemary is a strong herb, and actually it's very good for the memory. Salt and pepper. I'm using really good salt there. Well, I say really good. What I mean is not table salt. I'm using straightforward, coarse sea salt. It's not anything fancy, just from a basic cheap supermarket, but table salt is the thing that's really bad for our health. Add the flour. Okay. Right, squish it together. Gently put that down there. I'm going to have this at a not mega high heat, because we don't want them to just burn and that's it, but we do want it pretty hot, because then they get nice crispy outside. I'm putting the pan on, getting the oil that I've already mentioned, the straightforward vegetable oil. Now I'm letting the pan heat up a little bit because it can, well, some people think, I find that it helps things to not to stick. What is definitely important with this though is that you allow the oil to heat up before you put the patties, the rostis in. If you don't, if you put them in when the oil's cold, then they will just kind of soak up the oil and become really greasy, whereas if you put it in when the oil's hot, then they should get a nice crispy outside. It doesn't need to be like boiling oil, but just starting to almost smoke, but not quite. You can test it out by just dropping in. Yeah, that just like is sizzling away nicely. Now what's really important with this is that you don't play around with them. I was going to say too much, actually, don't play around with them at all. So you just allow them to cook gently. I'm always tempted to just sort of push them around and have a little look underneath. I have to resist the urge, because if I do, they will completely fall apart. They still taste great though. These normally take about 4 or 5 minutes to cook on a medium heat, but it kind of does depend. So I said not to play around with them. I'm just going to give them a little push. Oh, that's good. Now this one I'm worried about. Oh, not looking too bad. I think I'm going to try a second spatula. Ooh, the moment of truth. You don't need to do all this, but as I'm doing a demonstration, oh, most definitely cooked. Hopefully you can see that. Wow, this is the one. Are you going to do it for me? Yay! Well, I'm glad I didn't leave them any longer, because they're definitely thoroughly cooked, but they haven't gone over, which is great, and they've held together. We know that they're going to be okay now that they've got that solid, you know, bottom for on one side. It shouldn't be a problem. Lovely bit of rich tomato sauce, and it had basil in it, and I'm going to put a little bit on the side, make it look pretty, and also, you know, it brings out the flavour of the basil in the tomato sauce. And people often leave these just on the side, and I always eat them because they're delicious and super healthy. Even that little bit give you lots of vitamins. Enjoy, it's lovely.